Your character wakes up in the morning. She goes into the kitchen, she brews a cup of coffee, and then she starts casting a spell. And she keeps casting it, and casting it, and casting it. She goes to bed that night forgetting to stop casting it, so she casts it all throughout the night, and she wakes up and she's still casting it the next morning, and throughout the next day, but then she remembers to turn it off. Isn't that stupid? Attack on table. All right, Ryan, tell everybody what we're arguing about today. There is no table, there is only attack.
There's only attack and a friendly guest back with us again, Eric
Here to
Staggs.
mediate.
Happy to be here.
I don't know how much of a mediator he's going to be. He's already pretty much.
No, I trust that he's
told
going
me
to be
his stance.
totally unbiased and fair.
So welcome to this 2-on-1 debate with Sean and I against magic systems where it's cost versus no cost. Sean is a fan of the cost of magic. I don't stand as firmly rooted in the ground as no cost, but I do appreciate. I have a soft spot for no cost, and we're going to kind of bat that around a bit and see what shakes out. Where do you want to start, Sean?
Well, go for it. Because you have made decent points with decent examples for the no cost. And after you and I both kind of have at it, I want to hear what Eric has to say. But since you are alone and by yourself in your stance, I figure you can go first.
I get. What is that? Home court advantage? Is that you guys the away team?
Sports talk.
So I think when you like explain magic too much, when you start like boiling down, like, oh, if you do this, this happens, or if you don't do this, this happens. If you start boiling it down too much, it kind of removes the magic from magic, and it really kind of leaves you like, when you don't do that, it leaves you a lot of grace and a lot of windows to just kind of create unique moments. Of course, yeah, it can get out of hand. We all know that. But, Gandalf being able to just pull a gem out of his pocket, stick it into a staff and blow into it and say a little magic word. We don't care what the word is. And it glows up. We accept it, and that's fine. It's not hurting anybody. Gandalf doesn't have to cut off a finger in order to achieve it. He doesn't have to curse his firstborn or any of that nonsense. And it allows the story to just move forward if your story is not magic-centric. If it's peppered in there, if it's meant to bring the world to life, then there's no real reason to explain it any further than that. That's my stance.
Yep.
I actually agree with that to some level, right? Well, it's like
argument over.
Right? But no, there's more. In Lord of the Rings, you're right. Gandalf has these minor magics, right? Casting a light spell is not blood magic. We do not need a sacrifice. I get that, and I'm down with that. However, if we look at Gandalf's overall capabilities, if he's like super powerful, there is no story. Because he could have just chucked that ring using a levitation spell and tossed it in a mountain and everybody goes home. So in that instance, the purposeful vagaries of magic are super useful to your plot. And I think that works out really well. On the other hand, unchecked, uncontrolled magic, there always has to be, I think, a cost, because you could just, like you said, go on and on and on and on and on with the spell casting. Throws balance off in games, RPGs. It throws character balance off. Uncontrolled, unchecked magic is definitely problematic.
I agree with at least a little bit of what both of you said, but mostly Eric. I don't want... Everybody knows I hate agreeing with Ryan, so it is what it is.
That's just your natural stance, regardless of the topic.
That's how I was made. But I think that, like, just to piggyback off of what Eric said about Gandalf and everything, like, I think that limitation was written in, or the Astari were made to be frail old men and very, very limited in what they could do throughout the story of Lord of the Rings, because if Gandalf could destroy the ring on his own, there is no story. I'm with you on that, but I feel like the points Ryan's making is more about the explanation of magic than the generic cost of it that I'm concerned with. I don't think that something as ethereal as magic should be a thing that you can do without effort or consequence. And that's why I stand on the cost aspect. It gives your story extra stakes that your characters have to consider and go over how this is going to bite them in the hiney. And
gives all kinds of stuff, right? Like a timer, location, ingredients, all of that stuff complicates your story for sure.
Yep. And I don't feel like just because there is a known cost of the magic that you necessarily have to... I don't think that it necessarily robs the mysticism from the magic. And I guess maybe that's where Ryan and I deviate in our opinions. Because we don't know for a fact that Gandalf was tired after he killed the Balrog.
Yeah.
You don't know
he was
that
dead. He wasn't tired. He was dead.
The big sleep. But you have to assume that he exhausted everything, physical, magical, all of his mana gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mana's easy. Oh, go ahead.
No. You got your guess.
I was just going to say, mana is a really easy way to handle it. It's one of the most superficial ways, I think. But coming from a gaming point of view, Palladium games, you just have inner strength points. Cast a spell, you spend 5. You want it to be bigger, you spend 10. The new D&D, I shouldn't say the new, but 5th ed has spell slots, and you can double up spell slots for a bigger bang, but they're limited, right? And then you need to rest 8 hours to recover and get them back. To further complicate that, in D&D, there's verbal, somatic, and material components. So I'm going to need diamond dust to cast an armor spell or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Stuff is hard to get. That stuff is hard to acquire. So magic is inherently just more difficult to use.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought D&D up, sir.
Oh, God.
I don't go far.
So if we're talking about a world where, magic can get out of hand if everyone just uses it, because like the big thing to lean on is wizards, because in D&D wizards really require a lot of things. But what does every player do? There's what's written, and then there's what we do. Yeah, what we do is we all get an arcane focus, so we don't have to worry about components.
Totally, right? And I think
we all deep down we want no cost. We want as no cost as possible.
I feel that was a rules decision, though, to make to remove a set of rules to make the game more accessible to people.
I agree with that. I will say this: I'm going to have a hot take here. I'm going to throw this back in both of your faces. To a degree, I believe that if you have convinced yourself that you need a cost in order to rein in the abilities of your people, I think that is poor writing. I think it's lazy. I think it's lazy to simply say, well, if I can't think of a way out of this, then I need to create a limitation that is like rooted in something. And I'm like, Superman is Superman. He doesn't change. He just punches less. He holds back. He doesn't go full force on every problem he has.
But he doesn't.
And that's a choice he makes.
But that's just it. Superman is calm and rational and reasonable, and he that's his whole thing, is not the powers, but he's a decent person, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So then he can be trusted with that stuff. You could not give me Superman powers and everything be okay.
Yeah, you would be.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not that kind of person.
But that's what makes the story good, is you have the villains that don't have the cost. Like, everyone doesn't have the cost, and the people that abuse that, they are the villains, and the people that respect it, those are the heroes.
So are we treating magic powers, or I'm sorry, superpowers kind of the same as magic?
So essentially, when we're talking about this, I guess we should have clarified it a little bit. When we're talking about magic, we're talking about magic systems. So anything that is classified as a magic system. Sean and I have this great debate about how Jurassic Park, the dinosaurs, and the technology to create them is technically a magic system.
Anything that breaks the rules of reality, like there are no mosquitoes with dinosaur blood in amber. DNA breaks down after a couple million years.
Interesting.
At the longest, it is literally impossible to clone dinosaurs by any science that we have even today, much less in 1990.
It's kind of caved in my summer there.
So if we stick with that kind of knowledge base, we would say that there is a cost in the Jurassic world as far as their magic system, and that is that dinosaurs eat people.
Yeah, safety is the cost, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I guess that would be a point in your guys' bat.
Lions eat people. That's not the cost. The cost is it's a whole argument about, can you actually control anything? But that's not inherently, like, if you want to make it simpler, it's like it's abilities a person has for at least in my mind, for the purposes of this debate, any ability a person has that is beyond something you could expect a normal human to be able to do, or whoever your main character is, something that makes them a cut above the rest. And
superheroes, vampires, all
of that. And just to I'm going back to what Ryan said, and like the touche to your lazy writing is you are a lazy writer unless you write everybody as Superman, says Ryan. They all have to decide to not hit as hard as they can. All of them. Or you're lazy.
Or you can create
you said it.
False restriction.
So have you guys ever heard of writer Michael Moorcock from the late 60s, early 70s, mid 70s?
I do not know that.
Off my head.
Okay. I should pull the books ahead of time. He wrote Elric of Melniboné, who is the albino sorcerer king, and it's really a grim, dark fantasy story. Elric is a very, very powerful sorcerer, but he can't conjure things. He actually makes deals with elementals and demons constantly.
Okay.
All the time. And he's like, hey, you owe my ancestors. They made a deal with you 500 years ago. You owe me. Can I get a horde of insects? Yes. Deal is over with. That kind of stuff is really fun, I think, because his bag of tricks is very limited. And sometimes people don't want to make a deal. And sometimes he simply can't make a tidal wave or a gust of wind to move his ship. He just can't do it. So that's a great inherent limitation in that magic system, I think.
Right.
Well, yeah, I think that's more of a cost. I mean, one, it's a limited resource. Because, unless you make new deals, but especially if you're pulling out old deals that your family's made, there's only so many of those.
Wow. Yep.
But yeah, I like that. Sean and I discussed the thing I do with my epic, where I'm like, I've convinced a whole race of wizards that they aren't good enough to cast certain levels of spells, and they just believe that, and therefore can't do it. They can't surpass their own limitation because they
don't even try it.
Themselves.
They just believe it.
Yeah, and so like they're capable of it. They just don't believe they can, even though they're like striving to figure out how to do it.
Sure. Well, and some powerful magic could be treated as a weapon of mass destruction, and there could be proscriptions from the wizard school, whoever taught them the magic, the town, the king, anybody, to not do that stuff. And even though you can stand on your head, maybe you don't have to, kind of a thing with your magic. Even though you can put a second sun right there, let's think about it before we do that.
Right. What are the larger physical implications of such a spell? And that is a cost. That is a limitation. Your character being unable to see all of the consequences of them doing something like that. whenever we eventually, I think we have a plan to get with another author sometime soon to discuss time travel. What happens to the law of conservation and energy, of conservation of matter and energy, if you take yourself and put you in the past 6 weeks? You are adding all of your molecules to a universe that doesn't technically have room for them.
Have room for it. Yeah.
And those are just what happens. You should have a plan for that, but that is a cost. That's a limitation on magic, and I think that is a thing that adds value to the story. Can it be done lazily? Yes, Ryan, I'll stand with you on that. You could have a bullshit limitation.
Oh, you're dropping bad words in this.
This is only like the third one for for this. Well, it's by my count. Maybe there's more. I don't know.
No, it's okay if Sean does it. No one else can.
I am the editor.
And it became.
All right. So what do you? So do you have? I know you're very firm in cost. Do you have any love for no cost, Sean? Like
I
an
don't.
example of one that you were like, I really like this, even though it didn't cost anything.
I'm. What I would stay within the realm of, like, the cost can be as minor as the spell. Like, it takes nothing for Gandalf to light up that stone. It probably doesn't wear him out one bit. And it's a very minor spell. And maybe in my mind, he uses those bits of minor magic. And he sets a pine cone on fire to start a brush fire or whatever in a different book. Things like that. I'm okay with not seeing a physical cost to that. In the book I'm working on now, a very quick and like snap spell of moving one thing over there doesn't do that. But if you're doing it all day, it will take a physical toll on you. It could be just muscle exhaustion. It's random in nature. It could be that you get a new scar somewhere that you weren't expecting, or all your hair falls out. Whatever I feel like writing. The dangerous part of writing it so that I don't feel like I'm being a lazy writer is that I don't ever want to invent a new trick to suddenly... I don't want to have a time turner. I hate time turners.
What about you, Eric? Is there any no cost magic systems that you like?
No, not really. I really like the idea of bodily corruption. I feel like if I'm, for example, opening the fabric of space-time to pull energies from somewhere to do something else, that might not be healthy for me or my character. So I would use that opportunity to just start something insidious and keep it under control, like medication or whatever, until finally it gets out of hand, and then somebody's got to be like, oh, well, we're not doing fireballs anymore. Yeah. So, but no cost. God, I can't even really think of one that I'm okay with. I'm looking around at my books here. I can't think of anything. No, not really.
You got anything in the chamber, Ryan, for a good no cost?
Well, I have a bunch of good. I think I should offer up a cost. So this is technically literature because it is manga, but it's also an anime. I'm a big fan of the magic system from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, okay.
You know what that is, Sean?
I would make the argument that there is a ton of costs in that entire storyline is predicated on a cost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm throwing out a cost that I can abide.
God, I'm dumb. I thought you were...
Pretty much everything has a cost, right? The guy with the sword, he gets tired at the end of the day. He needs food. He needs to eat. He gets wounded. He needs to heal. There's costs to every action. And if magic users, however they may manifest, psionics, whatever, don't have that cost, then they're super special people. And maybe that's the reason we're writing about them, but probably not. So let's balance it out.
I do agree with balance. I think having like a cost, especially like a detrimental cost, is, I don't want to say lazy again. I won't say lazy again. I feel like it's a simple solution to a problem that if you were to look at different solutions, you could find some real unique things in there. Just as an example, off the top of my head, instead of doing like a physical cost per spell or something like that, you could just have like a political cost of the fact that you casting magic, the more you cast, the more you do that, the more suspicion is drawn towards you. And so you're limiting your own abilities. And it doesn't necessarily need to be like a burn the witch kind of thing, but it's just like the more I do this, the more I make myself a target for persecution. They're like, they accept that I cast magic, they don't like it. And so the more I do that, the more of a, kind of like in the Witcher series, it's like the more they do what they got to do in order to defeat these creatures that are out there killing people, the more they set themselves apart from the rest of society, and the more society, shuns them.
Yeah.
And so there is that cost, and that's different than just like I've done this thing and I'm running a risk of killing myself or destroying the world or something. It's just like this tension that can be built, and you could either decide to do something about that, to hide it or mitigate it or limit yourself. A good example, I'm writing my race, my wizard race. They kind of peddle out their magical stuff into the world so that the world can benefit from it, but they also like keep a lot of it like locked down because they don't want to make themselves useless, I guess. Like they don't want to give them enough ammunition to take them out. They don't want to give the world enough to take them out.
Keep a copyright on that spell, then nobody can use it without paying taxes or whatever, right?
Yeah, things like that. Or like they have the ability to build like these magical gems that they could very reasonably make them last forever, but they purposely create like a lifespan on them so that essentially they have to come back for more.
I like that.
Yeah, it's like, well, you got 5 charges on this. Come back and I'll recharge it.
I like that a lot too. There was a cartoon in the late 80s called Visionaries, and there were these knights. It was sci-fi world. They'd lost all power. Nothing technological worked at all. Who knows? Who cares? They never even went into it. But magic now works, and they had these big power staves and sticks, and to get them to be used, they had to go back to a wizard and dip them in his radiant pool and recharge them.
I believe they're called stackles.
Stackles, yeah.
That's probably not what it is.
Shelf of stackles.
Yeah, magical stackles. You find 5 magic stackles. Yeah. But I'm sorry, what if we took that the other opposite direction and said, all right, let's take a universe where there is no real cost. What happens? Everybody is doing magic then?
I think that would be almost impossible to write.
I think that would be
chaos.
I think doing something on that scale would be boring, or it creates a similar problem that you have with cost systems, where it's like you've explained the magic and now like you have to be following those rules, and if you don't, questions start arising, such as like what Sean talked about, the time turner. It basically broke a lot of logic in the Harry Potter world. It very divisive device.
Yeah, Harry Potter could have gone to Dumbledore and been like, hey, can I turn this enough times to go back in time and save my parents? And Dumbledore would have had to been like, no, we need 4 more books.
Yep. Yeah. And so that in a cost system, when you start outlining stuff, if you break from that, it starts asking too many questions, and then things become more unbelievable in your unbelievable world. But if you have what you're describing, where it's too much of a thing, then the question starts going, well, why didn't they just do that? Why didn't they just use the eagles to fly the ring into the Mountain Dew? That you get those questions.
Me all the time. I say that. I must say that once a week.
And it gets, you've effectively created a boring world.
Oh, yeah, because it really is. There is no specialness. There's no change. Well, magic becomes commonplace. Then there is no magic, right?
Yeah. What do they say? If everyone's special, no one's special.
Yeah.
The Incredibles.
Well, and that actually kind of reminds me of a complaint I have about magic and arcana in the new D&D system. Anybody, a fighter, a barbarian, a berserker, whatever you want to call them, can go up and try to attempt a magic thing. And in a lot of these character classes or subclasses, you get magical spells. it just grinds my gears. I cannot believe that they're allowing that. If I spent my entire life learning to fight with a sword competently to the point where I'll stand up next to anybody and try, or even maybe someday defeat a monster, I didn't have time to learn to read books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's only so many hours in the day, or maybe I can read, but I certainly cannot conjure elementals or whatever. And it takes so much away from those characters who specialize in magic. If anybody can roll an arcana check and figure out if the door's magical, why am I a wizard? Why don't I have more hit points and a sword?
Yeah, I feel like, Eric, you and I are going to have to do like a little one-on-one where we just talk about the nonsense in
Yeah, I can do that.
the poor storytelling in game design.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Sean
don't
is like,
want me to come? Like, yeah,
I don't care if you come.
I'm not
I know
gonna
you
go.
don't want to.
I won't be.
I know
there.
you're like, don't invite me to
No,
that.
I have a
party.
wedding that day.
Every day until the end of time.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think I'm gonna kind of circle back just to the storytelling aspect. I think from a storytelling aspect in D&D, they're really trying to like make everybody everything.
Yeah.
And therefore, like, no one feels specialized. Every character just feels like it's kind of cookie cutter. Oh, but you look different, or that you're from a different place. But we all have essentially the same skills, and it's boring.
Yep. And if you want to make it not boring, that would be difficult. Especially if it's something that's extremely customizable, per the user. Something just like, a reality warping types of powers. So I feel like Eric and I won that, and the debate is over.
No,
I'm gonna edit out anything you say, Ryan.
Get in the comments. Let them know the truth. I've been robbed of a clear victory.
I know. It's the last person to touch this video is going to be me anyway. But I'm gonna go ahead and close the book on that before this gets too long running, because Ryan, you said that we had a Dear Duncan again today, right?
Yes, and finally someone's starting to slip into the old Dear Duncan, Dear Abby mindset. This one was submitted to us under the name Seen But Not Supported.
Okay. Well, before you go saying anything else, I guess we're going to go ahead and jump into the Dear Duncan studio.
Mm-hmm. By the power of our overlords and our friends at NJC Printing, you guys like our lovely new studio setup here. Again, reach out to them. They do a bunch of different digital work. They can do signs for book signing and stuff like that. If you're interested in overlays, they do those as well. But we're here to talk about our Dear Duncan. I'll just get right into it.
Yep.
You ready?
I'm excited. Eric's going to be able to help us with this one.
Besides us just going, I don't know how to help you.
Yep.
Thanks.
Come on the show.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do want to mention that Sean wants me to. This is another one where the guest didn't want to come on, but we do invite you guys, if you do have something that you want to discuss with us and we can ask questions directly to you, that would be great, especially if you guys submit these with a little bit more like details. We had someone talk about their cover art. It would have been nice to see their cover art, make our own determinations on it. But this one comes from us today from Seen But Not Supported. Dear Duncan, I share my work online and get steady engagement, but translating that attention into actual support feels impossible. People say they love my writing, yet buy few books, join my newsletters, or follow beyond the platform where they found me. The gap between visibility and sustainability is discouraging. Is this a normal stage or a sign that I am doing something fundamentally wrong? Seen but not supported.
Okay.
Let's hear your thoughts, Eric. What's your
Yeah, I
stance
think
on
that's
that?
a natural stage for sure. I would ask that person how long they've been writing. That would be a big metric. If it's been 2 years and you're still doing that, that's okay. If it's been 50 years and you're still doing that, well, maybe rethink, you know. But I struggle with the same thing. I have positive feedback quite often. Okay, give me $1. Nope. So how do I translate that? How do I make that work? So there's the Substack, and I try to do sponsorships there, and I release free fiction through that. A lot of followers. Well, people like stuff, but nobody's subscribing. I have one paid subscriber, and I've only been doing that 6 months though. And everything I have read said just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's a natural stage of evolution for any writer. It's hard. Here's a kind of a brutal thing I say sometimes. More people than your mom have to like it. You know what I mean? Because like you'll get positive feedback from your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your cousin, your uncle, the bartender down the road. Everybody will be like, "Oh, I love it." Maybe they do. Maybe they don't understand it. Maybe they don't want to hurt your feelings. Maybe they have a crush on you. Maybe they see that you're very fragile right now. You just don't know. So getting strangers' feedback, I think, is great. Getting a stranger who's an editor is great. Somebody who has no emotional investment, that will help turn things around. They can be costly, of course. But yeah, it's natural for sure. Don't get discouraged from that.
I'll kick it over to Sean before I say my piece.
Well, you do enough research and everything into just how to get things going, as far as like seeing if the results you're looking for is sales of your product and everything. Eric's hit the nail right on the head. Like consistency is the thing you're going to see the most. Yes, tweak it a little bit here and there when you notice something happening being more effective than something else you've tried before, but you've got to establish a presence, and you can only do that with time. There is no shortcut to wild success, especially if you, and I don't know this, but like if you're an indie author,
Good luck.
you've got an uphill battle ahead. And I've always kind of just said like writing the book is actually kind of the easy part.
Yeah.
Because if you're an author, you're not typically a marketer, and you have a
Right.
lot to learn.
When I was publishing books, one of my guys came up with a statistic of something like 800 or 8,000, I forget which, but it's still way too many books are published. Independent books are self-published per day on Amazon. Well, there is absolutely no way that the average person can compete with that noise. There is just no way, right? Using traditional online marketing tactics, good luck. Don't get discouraged. Maybe that's just not the place to show your work. I would go out into the world, and I would go to readings and meet other writers and network.
I think that there's a lot of value in networking, but social media is not the place to do it. That is one thing that I would advise everybody to skip. You can get your name out there and get into writing groups and everything, but treating them as a place to just post a link up to go buy your book, you're never going to get anywhere with that. So if you're doing that, don't do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I would say I feel like because I'm the only one that actually is seeing this right now. I think by rereading it a few times, I feel like there might be, I don't want to sound discouraging, but like it's a small level of defeatism or self-bashing. I don't like the term fundamentally wrong. I think you might be missing something, and that's not necessarily meaning you're doing something wrong. It means just you missed a cue or something. I would look into what is like popular ways to get more attention, things that are working in now stage. I don't know how many newsletters people are actively joining. I don't know if that's still a viable thing that's being done. So I would do a little bit more research into that field and see if you're able to, like Sean said, tweak what you're doing in order to find a little bit better success. I would also not judge yourself too harshly based on your metric of understanding what success is. I know it's easy for you as, is my work making money? That might not be your goal right now. your goal as a new author, a new writer out there is, am I getting eyeballs? Am I getting traction? Are people seeing my name? Are they saying these things? Can I get them to say these things on a bigger forum, talk about my work positively in those aspects? Then start concerning yourself with, am I selling stuff?
And if you want better answers than that, then you should probably come on the show.
Yeah, show up.
Oh, there's a great thing. Promote yourself by coming onto our show.
Yeah.
And we'll help you promote your book.
Oh, and now for a word from our benefactor.
Greetings, Scribbles and Scratches. I am positively spellbound to announce my incredible contest. A free writing competition designed to reward those daring few who are striving to stride the hard road to publication. Yes, free I say. No entry fees, no hidden curses, no genre restrictions. To enter, simply request a submission form and submit. And the winner, the glorious winner, shall receive top-tier professional grade line, proof, and copy editing from a best-selling editor, completely free. Up to 30,000 words or half the book, whichever comes first. A guaranteed interview and additional promotion from the Fitz of Writing upon publication. So, Scribbles and Scratches, request the form. Submit with confidence. This has been Sir Dr. Duncan Cackleworth, Esquire, reminding you that ink, when properly wielded, can create the most incredible of things. Strike the like, and semper scribe.
Yep, the contest is still going. It's going till the end of September. That's when we'll be announcing the winner. Again, 2 rounds of editing doesn't necessarily mean you've spent several $1,000s on an editor. We just want there to have been an effort made. So get your submission in, let us read it, and we look forward to picking the winner. And Kimberly Huther looks forward to working on your story with you. Other than that, Eric, do you want to say anything about The Darkest Age real quick before we wrap it up?
Oh, sure. So here is my latest release. It's a role-playing game. It's Morkborg compatible, Morkborg hack. It's called The Darkest Age. You can get it on DriveThruRPG. We're very proud of it. It's a tiny game, rules light. You'll like it.
Perfect. Ryan, anything else that we want to yell at everybody about?
Yeah, if you guys like what we're doing here, you like these little segments, you want to support us and the people we bring on, or just the channel, subscribe to all of our platforms, or subscribe, I guess, since Sean's not going to set me up for it. How do we end these?
With friends.